What is up, guys? This is Max4, and today we'll be covering good old Finland Anti-Tank Guide. As you can see, we got this wacky one that we're going to be finishing in with, but he's going to be our last one, so we're going to go ahead and get over to this lightest ones. So our first one is going to be the 20 PST KIV-39. So this thing is pretty cool little thing. It's a heavy anti-tank rifle, actually. As you can see, it's fed from the top. Got a little ski thing that it rides on, and it's got a little bipod going out from that. So this thing has a range of 150 meters, armor piercing of 18 meters at its max range. Has a slow-ish fire rate at 7 seconds, but it's used during the early war and can be quite effective at its role. This was actually used starting in 1939, and it can be very effective versus these lighter tanks, like going up against the say the BT-7. If you're aiming for the turret, you can seriously damage this. Looks like it's a little bit, actually might be, it's closer to 3 seconds, not 7 seconds for the reload. Fun fact about this thing, it was actually renamed the Elephant Gun. As I'm sure you guys can see, it is quite a big gun. It is an anti-tank rifle, and they actually use this to snipe snipers because it's fairly accurate. So use it against snipers in other parts of the war, and about 1,900 of these bad boys were made. Pretty cool little thing though. It doesn't have any shield, but it's low to the ground, so it's very effective at taking out anything. I'd say like BT-7s. Let's see if we did any damage actually. Oh, we didn't actually damage that one, so maybe it's not super great versus BT-7s. But it's very good versus armor cars and anything that's light that you might be facing. Can definitely detract them, if anything. But it's a cool, nice little heavy anti-tank rifle. Next, we're going to move on to the 37 PSTK 36L-45. So this is actually obviously a 37 millimeter, has a range of 160 with armor piercing, has penetration of 33 millimeters at max range, and high explosive also at 160. It has a reload of 2.5 seconds, so this thing is pretty impressive. Now, as you can see, facing a BT-7, you'll be able to damage it pretty effectively. 2.5 seconds. You'll be able to throw rounds at it every single little bit. As you can see, we've very quickly defeated that BT-7. Extra round just to be sure. Same thing for this T-35. We'll be able to take out its turrets pretty easily, pretty effectively. Even though he's got like 3 of them, we'll be able to kill every single one of them very easily. Now, this one was a Swedish anti-tank gun that was imported by Finland. They started using them in the good old Winter War, and they used them after about 200 to 300 of these. So these were actually pretty common. They were very much liked because they're high rate of fire, but during the continuation war, they weren't as effective. They're only really effective versus armor cars. If you face this rare T-50, you might have some trouble as well. It's hard to get the shot on the turret where it can actually be effective. I really like this gun though because the high explosive is super good, and as you can see, it's pretty much sending a grenade very accurately and very quickly. So it can be very effective for infantry support. If I'm going for an anti-tank gun, I'm probably not going to go for this, but for cheap infantry support, this thing can be pretty awesome. With 160 range, it's nothing too crazy, but it can be very effective. Next, we have the 45 PSTK-32. Now, this one is the 45 millimeter gun from the Soviets. It's got a max range of 160 with its armor piercing. 34 millimeters, just a hair better than the 37 over there. You're gonna be able to take out same amount of tanks pretty much. You can take out the T-35. You're gonna be able to take out BT-7s, T-50s. You might struggle more against. It's a little bit less accurate, looks like. That might be because of the Soviet sites. I'm not sure, but it was captured. About 350 of these bad boys were captured from the Soviets. They were used very effectively in the Winter War versus the light tanks. They struggled obviously versus T-34s and whatnot at the end, but it was a very nice weapon, and they sometimes use them 24 hours after they captured them. Pretty much rolled up and killed some Soviets in a battle, and then they started using these, which is pretty cool. So next we have the 47 PSTK-39. Now this thing has a range of 170 meters with its armor piercing and 160 with its high explosive, and it's got a fire rate of 3 seconds, so it's pretty quick quick little AT gun. Once again, another light one. Now this one actually came from Italy. It was imported from Italy. There we go, taking out the T-50's turret, so it can do a little bit more, I guess. Now this thing, only about 50 to 60 of these were made. or 50-60 were actually imported. They were imported from Italy, originally designed in Austria. Pretty cool little thing. Then they got to Finland in 1939, 1944, the Winter War. And as you can see, it's a very fast firing. It was very mobile, so that's why the Finnish liked it so much. Very similar to the 37mm, how fast it fires, but it's just super mobile gun. Very good at taking out infantry as well. Great infantry support gun. As you can see, it lobs rounds over, so it can be very effective about getting rounds over cover that you're trying to get. You're trying to get enemy infantry behind something that can be effective for that. Oh, so it's obviously not showing its effectiveness right now, but it can be very effective if you're trying to get infantry behind something. It's just like lobbing grenades. I do like this one. The lack of the gun shield does make it a little bit more vulnerable, but you do have sandbags that you can build for it, just like with every gun that you should probably be using. Now they only have 50-60 of these, and these will be a mainstay in the Italian army. So once we get the Italians, you'll probably see this gun a lot more. It's going to be very effective versus all of your light tanks. So it's going to struggle versus mediums. Now we have the 50 PSTK-38. Now this is just a 50mm from the Germans. Pretty impressive little gun. It's going to be able to, it's actually going to be able to take care of these light tanks pretty easily. You get turret shot on the the T-70 would be good. KB-1 is not gonna be able to do anything to, but for the T-34, especially the early versions, which is ones you're gonna be fighting, if you can get a shot on the turret, you can do some damage. If you can't get a shot on the turret, it's not really gonna be able to do a whole lot unless you just aim for the tracks and try to track the tank, which is probably a good idea to keep it still, so that way you can get a shot on the turret. But very nice. Has APCR and APC high explosive. Oh. Well, I guess we got a good shot in there. And as you can see, it can be effective. So APCR has a max penetration at 60mm, and this one has the armor piercing has 56mm. So as you can see, we got a little round. It looks like we tucked it in right underneath the wheel well, so that's pretty good little shot. Fires pretty quick. It's got 3-second reload, and then the late war version actually has heat rounds, which only fire from 120. Range is pretty close, kind of like the Pak-36. Not gonna be able to kill anything that's super far outside your range, but it will be able to kill things that are pretty fairly close. Just makes it a little bit more viable in the late war if you get a shot. There we go, nice shot. But then also has high explosive, but its range is only about let's see, 160 for this thing. Now only about 50-60 of these were received from 1941 to 1942, so they didn't make a huge mainstay, but the Soviets definitely appreciated them. They're very light, and they actually preferred this sometimes over the Pak-40 because it was light and easy to move around for ambushes, because at close range it could do its job. Next we have one that's actually an AA gun, so this is the 75 ITK-37, by putting it down here in the anti-tank video because it was used so much as anti-tank, or is in the game. So this thing has a range of 200, which is pretty crazy. Now its armor piercing has 113mm of penetration. So as you can see, you can even get through. You'll be able to get through shots on the KB-1, which is pretty impressive because there we go. We just knocked out its turret. You can get this thing in the early war with the defensive doctrine. It's Finland, and you can be able to eliminate tanks. You can pretty much create a dead zone that they can't use. Very effective in the early war. Still very effective in the mid-war. It starts to struggle a little bit in the late war because after these tier 3 beasts coming out, you're going to struggle a little bit more. You can still damage the IS-2, but something comes up like this. Obviously, you have a range of 220. It has a range of 220. So if he doesn't get close like this, you're not going to be able to do shit against it. But still, it's very fast firing. You get this in a placement. It's going to be very good. You can switch to high explosive. It's going to have that high fire rate. It's going to be able to eliminate infantry quite a bit. Now these guys weren't usually used for armor anti-tank unless there's like breakthroughs, because normally it was good old anti-aircraft. But in situations where tanks broke through, it got pressed into frontline service, or if it was pre-planned positions, which was a lot of Finland. Now only about 60 to 80 of these were made, so they were actually kind of uncommon, and they were made from there from the late 1930s until World War II started. But they employed it kind of like an 88 at times, and this thing could be very effective. I personally love it because if the person that you're facing didn't go irregular in the earlier mid-war, this thing can really lock the area down because it's going to be built inside the bunker by the engineers as a static. right, so next we have the 75 PSTK-97/38. So this is the obviously a German imported weapon. So it's actually got a range of 180 with its high explosive. And it's only got a range of 170 with its heat. So this is kind of a shorter range weapon, and that comes in the late war, but it's very effective with its heat because it has 87 millimeters penetration. T-34s, not a problem for this thing. It's gonna be able to get the T-34s, no problem. Versus heavier tanks, it's gonna struggle a little bit. But T-34s are gonna be able to kill pretty easily. Anything while going T-34 is gonna be scared of this for sure. Now it does have pretty good fire rate. It's like 3 seconds as well. And this was used from 1942 to about 1944 when the PaK-40 started coming out. They got 46 of these bad boys, and they did like using them because the heat rounds were effective at stopping T-34s, which was the majority of what they were facing versus Soviets in the late part of the continuation war. So it was nice, but overall, pretty nice gun. Just has shorter range. I like to use it on urban maps, but anything other than that, I don't really recommend it a lot because the shorter range, especially in the later war, is going to really hurt you. In later wars when it comes around, really mid-late war. Next we have the 75 KW or K/40. Excuse me. Now this is just the PaK-40. PaK-40 is a beast. Now this thing is going to be able to challenge pretty much everything the Soviets can throw at it. It is going to struggle versus these Soviet late tanks, but that's where you track it, try to kill it with infantry as a Finnish way, get some Molotovs on that thing. And as you can see, it can be very effective at tracking the IS-2, which is all you need to do. And then just worry about infantry getting it. Now it's a dead beast dead in the water. Versus the T-34, it's not going to be a problem. This thing's going to be able to punch right through it. Even the KV-1 at range is going to be able to punch right through it. This has a range of 200. This might be a little bit more tricky to hit the KV-1 a little bit more touchy spots, but if you're having issues, just track it and then start shooting it where it's weak. But the armor piercing has range, max penetration of 106 at its max range of 200, and the APCR has a max of 123. So the APCR is actually going to be able to pierce through the front armor of the KV-1 pretty easy. So if you're trying to kill the crew and get this, that might be the one that you want to go with. Fun fact. It also has high explosive, which telling us a range of 180, and then it has heat, same penetration as the last one. It has 87 millimeters penetration, but it's only 170 range. All around, this is the best anti-tank weapon for all around that they have, along with the 75 over here. I recommend using it quite a bit. They got these in 1943 and on. They didn't get that many of these, but they were quite effective. And the fact that it has the 200 range is pretty sick. I think they had like just over 200 of these bad boys. All right, last but not least, we have this bizarre looking thing, right? Looks like it's got sloped armor and everything. It's basically they tried to improve the have improved version of the PaK-40. It started as a 57 millimeter gun when they were designing it, but then they updated it to 75 because they're using PaK-40 ammo. They wanted to standardize the ammo because they don't have that much of an arms industry, obviously, during World War II. Small country, makes sense. But it's the 75K-44. Has a range of 210, so it's got the same range as your Panther and your Tiger. And it has max penetration of 125 millimeters at its max range. So it's going to be able to actually threaten the IS-2. We get a nice turret shot like that, it's going to be able to do it. That one just took him out. Pretty nice shot. But you're going to be able to kill most tanks that you encounter. IS-2 at max range is going to be a little bit tricky. And that's one thing you kind of have to worry about for this one. But anything else is going to be, as you can see, very easy to take out. But this thing is a little bizarre little thing. So his armor piercing has a high explosive, both range 210. Also has heat, same heat rounds. These two use 87 millimeters penetration at 170 range. Pretty cool little thing. It was made in 1944 and onward. And then they only made about 30 of these, so only very few of them were actually used during the war. They did like the low silhouette. As you can see, it sits a lot lower than these in the PaK-40, but it was a little bit iffy on uneven terrain. We're going to aim quite right, I think. But overall, it's a goofy looking gun, and I like to use it. It's unique to the Finnish, and I like using it. It's a pretty cool gun. Overall, best ones I recommend is this one, PaK-40. 40. This one for urban warfare. This one's good in early and mid. Pretty good in late, not bad. These two, pretty good mid and late war. This one I don't really recommend. 37 I recommend for infantry support, and this is only good for early war or armored cars. But hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and drop whatever videos you want to see in the bottom. And I'll see you next time.